I'm Pat Mayo. I'll be live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time this evening on Mayo Media Network. If you have any questions or if you just want to be yelled at, I can do that too. You're some sort of weird masochist, I can make that happen for you.
Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog Fantasy. DraftKings picks for the U.S. Open, one and done final bets, the weather, and we got to get a round one underdog entry on the go to try to win some cash. Tambo, I've already maxed out on a couple of players already, and the fairways hires that I put out on Tuesday are already gone.
Yeah, and they're way gone, like up 1 to 1.5 in some cases.
So anyone who was subbed to the newsletter got them right away. They were able to hit them, and then immediately, like within 20 minutes of the newsletter dropping, everyone out there just kind of jumped in. I don't know why anyone wants to tail me. I think I've lost my last 10 entries, but I feel like we were on the right path last week, if nothing else.
I think we found an advantage. I was high on it on the show with you. I said, I really like this angle better because the other one's really tough to get it right or to peg it. This one just seemed wrong, and sure enough, the numbers went up. We got that joyous, lovely closing line value that we all like to find in the betting markets and prop markets now and everything like that. And from there, it did not quite pan out. I think it was off by 1 on one guy and a half on the other guy, but it was pretty close on the old 7-banger.
Well, Xander hit, I think, 6 fairway bunkers. That's not the fairway from what I've heard, and that was ultimately what was my demise for the week. But I posted those if you want to go get in on the fairway props. They're about right now. Like the way that I described it when I put out the newsletter was everyone was either at 9 or 9.5, and with 14 fairways, the average fairway hit percentage here in 2014, assuming it's going to play somewhat similar, was 71%, which means if all those guys just played to field average and hit 71% of their fairways, they would all be higher.
Yep. I like it. I think this is the week. We're going to hit one of these.
Let's go.
And I did tail it, by the way. I got the early numbers with you. So I saw it. I was like, I know what's going to happen after last week. It's going to run it back this week, and he's going to hit it this time. So happy to have the early numbers with you.
Well, also, we'll try to construct something else here. However, if you use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now, not only do you get a deposit bonus of up to $200, you get ballots in the draw to be the representative from the Pat Mayo Experience to win Ben Stein's money over here. You made it to the finals. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome.
Win $1 million.
That's the plan now. Yeah, final 50. We made it. Thanks to everybody out there, all the support. It was awesome, everybody that reached out. But just to note, I'll get to it quickly. You mentioned it, but you can win up to 50K. I don't know of many people giving away 500 or 5,000, let alone be willing to give up to 50,000. But I've stood by it. For King of the Beach, we tried it. Now we're going to actually get here for the Fantasy Golf World Championship and have a shot. So you can go to X. It's all on my Twitter, at ToeTag and Tambo. For the rest of the ballots, do whatever Mayo tells you. For those, we're going to keep it where it's going to be right now. For the 20K minimum draw, 5 $200 giveaways are already locked in. So somebody that's signing up for Underdog with code Mayo, somebody that's subscribing to the newsletter, leaving the 5-star reviews for this, all of that, you're in for a $200. We're going to do 2 $200 giveaways up to the $5,000 giveaways, where it's $25,000 will be 5 by 5,000. And then I said on the last show, and I'm sticking with it, we will come up with something for the $25,000 for the difference. I would think that it's going to be someone coming to President's Cup with us for part of it, of the giveaway. There's going to be fun stuff with the remaining difference, but if it's not the full show, we're still going to give away a bunch along the way.
So if that's something that interests you, and you might want to get in on some of that free money, I'm giving away $500 and 2 Fantasy National memberships as well, and you get yourself in the draw for all of those for the U.S. Open as well. But again, code Mayo and Underdog Fantasy is the #1 way you can support this show, and we're climbing. There are 4 Pat Mayo experiences currently inside the top 15 of most downloaded fantasy sports and betting podcasts in the world for this week. So we get a few more ratings and reviews and subs, share the show around. Maybe we can get up there, and Apple, the reviews and the subs, Spotify, the reviews and the subs will get you 10 ballots apiece in this draw, 40 for the Underdog at code Mayo, if that's what you want to do. Let's talk about the slate a little bit before we get into it. Tighter player pool for you? Like, what types of players are you going with here?
I think a lot of what you do this week is going to depend on what you're playing. And the reason I say it doesn't mean I know we're jumping ahead.
Well, you're in like the 444 or the 888, aren't you?
There's the mega, like the 33-33 this week, which I'm in. And that's going to be where, I'm fine just playing a Scotty lineup differently, for example, because Scotty's going to be the topic of discussion. In something like the $15 with 235,000 entrants, and a lot of people have tickets to it and all that, and say, oh, how do I just play my one ticket I won? It's up to you how you want to play. You can play who your favorite plays are. You can play Scotty and get different. You can fade Scotty, but I'll probably be severely underweight on Scotty in that tournament, only because
He's Andercursed.
I didn't even know that part of it, but I will say that, 2 notes on it quickly, because we're just hitting it off the top, is it's not that I think he's going to play bad. It's Scotty Scheffler. I'm just hoping he doesn't win. And I'm also sort of double leveraging because he's going to be extremely popular coming off the win. And on top of it, the roster constructions that are so easy to make with him makes for many combinations that probably makes this the worst way to do it. But for the upside of $1 million and the field size of 235,000, I feel very comfortable just putting $1,500 into that. For 100 lineups, something like that, and going after it.
I'm not even playing the $15.
Most people don't. It's probably better off you don't. Contest selection, sustainability, bankroll management all would say not to play that, but that's why if you're gambling and just taking a shot on it, that's why I would prefer to take the shot that way.
Out of all the chalky guys, and we'll get to this when we get to the DraftKings portion, you can always just use the time codes, skip ahead if you don't care about this other stuff, but there's a few guys that really stick out as very highly owned. Do you think that the pivot just works here, regardless of who it is? Like, instead of, like, I love Hideki. I bet Hideki. We'll get to my bets in a second. But instead of playing him, you can play Spieth for, like, 1/10 the ownership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sepp Chaka is going to be back in the building here. So there's a lot of guys down low, and then there's those sort of guys you just talked, like a guy like Decky, who will still fit into those builds because it just naturally goes. You can go Scotty, Decky, Sepp Straka, and then you can still get to Morikawa and go from. I mean, we'll build the chalky build, but it's already built. Like, it's on paper.
Well, let's jump over to Underdog then, because we need to have a round 1 entry, and I have limited selections because I've maxed out my max bets on basically every single player right now. What do you think the angle is going to be here? Because I feel like we've found not necessarily a glitch in the system with the fairway over-unders, but I think that they were too low, and I anticipated them coming in too low based on what we had seen in 2014. Now, maybe this is nothing like 2014. I'm just way off base, but they have corrected to that now. So all the value, I think, in that is gone. We think about this as a par 70. The bogeys are worse for a lot of guys, or 4.5, 3.5. Do you just think that going higher scores, higher strokes in round 1 is the move?
Yeah, I was thinking of something that, and I was trying to look for a different angle of attacking, because I know, like you said, you've worked those fairway hires out pretty good. But I think that the take for me would be, again, it's kind of both days. It does get a lot hotter in the afternoon, and we know how this can bake out as it is already. I know people said they're watering the green, so it's all of how you want to attack it up front or later on, but I wouldn't mind targeting like whoever we think are the worst plays in the afternoon to go higher strokes, or bogeys are worse, whichever you prefer.
Now, we can do some anti-correlation with this as well. Like, if we do find someone with fairways hit that we like, you can go over fairways hit for someone and then go under greens and regulation for someone else, because that was sort of the weird corollary with this in 2014. 71% of players hit the fairway, 55% hit greens and regulation. So we can kind of load up on bad iron players. In a weird way.
You got that side of it covered pretty good, so give me some of the options you're thinking, and then let's look at what their numbers are on here.
Well, let me pull up the tee times. I like this baked more out in the afternoon. You can find all the tee times in the newsletter from yesterday. I have another newsletter coming this evening. You can sub for free down in the description right now. Get that sent out to you probably around 7 p.m. tonight. I'm also going live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Mayo Media Network. If you have any final lineup questions, betting questions, I'm all over it. Anything changes, we're on top of that. So tune in live to the Mayo Media Network at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 9 p.m. my time. It's getting late. You got to put the kids to bed and then go rush and do a live stream.
Yeah.
But I love doing it on the weeks of the majors. So I'm just trying to think of, for greens and regulation, maybe some of the crappier iron players that are out in the afternoon, like Jason Day, for example. I like Jason Day this week, but I think it's mainly due to his scrambling ability. I just don't see him holding a whole lot of these greens. Just based on the way that his iron play has been. So we have greens and regulation for him, 9.5.
So we put the lower.
So we go lower, 9.5 for Jason Day?
Yeah. I like the analysis of it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Again, we're just trying to take an angle in and get an approach that way like we did last week. We're trying to pick it up a different way this week, and I don't hate it. So everything we just talked about lines up with Jason Day for that matter, because he's got the late afternoon tee time. And then 9.5 is still a lot to hit. So, we're fine with that, and we'll just take the lower.
Spieth is also at 9.5.
Let me see here, Spieth. So let's add him.
So we'll go Spieth lower than 9.5 greens in regulation. I may have used up all my Spieth juice because I did play him fairways over at 8.5. He's 9.5 now.
I should be okay, but...
Do you have any take on Tiger?
I don't know. It's tough, this should be the spot if there was going to be one. But every week you see it like, oh, Tiger coming into it. Oh, he looks good, and all the people, everybody posts about Tiger for good reason. But I probably won't have any Tiger this week if you're asking that.
Yeah, but just in terms of like his over/under score for round 1 is 74.
I wouldn't want to mess with Tiger. It's Tiger.
How about green? I mean, his greens regulation is 7.5.
He's going to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, get his back all fired up, ready to go for this super early tee time, and then just roll it out there, and whatever happens. It's going to be close.
I had to wake up early and get my back all sorted out. So I'm
Today?
having additional. It's not really back problems. I have a sacrum problem.
Okay.
As it turns out now, just deteriorating with age. Playing too much golf is really not doing well for my hips and my lower back. But as it turned out, my glute med was so locked up, I had to go get dry needling yesterday.
Yeah.
And the moment that they stuck the needle in, they hit like 4 separate trigger points, and like my ass went like from like this to like this. Like I could stand up straight again. It was amazing.
Listen to this guy, Patsuyama over here.
Yeah.
Just getting everything. My back, my sack, whatever this thing is called. You got all kinds of stuff going on.
Who else can we find here? So you have Fleetwood. I like Fleetwood this week. Hovland.
Okay, what about Fleetwood fairways higher still?
What's he at? He's at 10, I think, or 10.5.
If it went up to 10.5, it's tough.
I was thinking Bryson lower than 10 greens in regulation.
Yeah, I like that one too. Where's he at on here?
He talked about he took the loft out of his clubs. Why would you take the loft out of your clubs here? Like, I get you might want to try to like run it up and maybe you have like the perfect distance control. But I would think that he's still going to hit it super high because it's Bryson, and that's just what he does. I just thought that was a really weird strategy for the week.
Well, he's 10, so the lower looks nice.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Spieth off of this just because I've used Spieth. I know that, so I probably just won't be able to play that lineup, that entry. So we have 2. Let's try to find a higher for someone here. Not necessarily on greens and regulation, on something.
Well, this is where you could mix the same concept, though. Like if you wanted to play a morning guy, higher greens and regulation, you just think that is a good iron player. You know what I mean? Who's somebody that's going out in the morning that you like that's a good iron player that you think can hit those greens? Morikawa, yeah. And I did not take him in the fairways because his fairways were too high for me. What is he up to for fairways? 11 out of 14. You got to play what's his greens and regulation, though?
His greens and regulation are 10.5.
See, that's still high.
It feels high, doesn't it?
Yep.
But someone's going to hit all these greens. What's Siwoo at? Siwoo is greens and regulation 9.5. Tom Kim is 9.5 as well. So it seems like 9.5 is sort of the standard. Do you want to play a guy who's a good iron player or not, I suppose, is the question. Like we could go with Cam Smith.
Man, I think, don't people like him for the scrambling this week?
I do. I like him for the scrambling this week. But it's not so much the scrambling. I mean, I think that's one of his outs. I just think that the really wide fairways help him out so much because, as people will find out in the newsletter a little bit later on, because I bet on Cam Smith, that I just think that he's still a top 5 player in the world once you take driver out of his hands. And if these fairways are big enough that he's just not constantly in the wire grass, all of a sudden you got a top 5 guy. Because his irons are good. His putting is excellent. His chipping is fantastic. And I do think that the better putters are going to end up making a lot of these 15-foot putts.
So where's Cam Smith? I just got to scroll down. Okay, but what you just sold me on was higher than 8.5 fairways hit. If he's taking driver out of his hand, it's scary, but it's like, to me, that's, again, take the risk.
It's terrifying.
8.5.
It is. It's one of the lower ones.
I feel like that sales pitch sold me more on fairways hit.
Well, it does. The anti-correlation boosts it up as well. So we could either go 3 of 3 with a flex and get 3 times our money, or get money back if we get 2 of the 3 correct, or we just go YOLO and go six times our money.
Yeah, I like standard.
Standard?
Yeah.
All right. 150. No, let's go 175. 180. I want it to pay $1,000. There we go. 180 pays 1,087. That will be the official play for this show. And boom, it worked for me. So Jason Day lower than 9.5 greens in regulation. Bryson lower than 10 greens in regulation. Cameron Smith higher than 8.5 fairways hit. So hopefully I'm not dead wrong about fairways this week.
Yeah, I don't mind it though, and it's another way you got a fairway action play on a guy that usually doesn't hit a lot of fairways, but he could at this event.
He could, or he could just miss so badly.
It's possible.
There was a couple guys that I was thinking about that maybe I just go straight fade on. Like, do you like Wyndham Clark at all this week?
No.
No one seems to, which really leads me to believe that he and Cam Young are great DraftKings plays. With Zalatoris, everyone is out on too.
Yeah, it's possible. I would probably like Zal more. I don't know. It's close. Clark is still there, but the problem with Clark is he has all these other dudes around him. That's, that you can get to. We just talked about Cam Smith. There's Homa, JT, Cantlay, Morikawa, Oberg. Like he's squeezed in between all these guys. So yeah, last year's champion, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be happening.
Reminder to everyone as well, if you use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy, you get the deposit bonus of up to $250. You get in the draw to win Tambo's money at the Fantasy Golf World Championship, and you get into the draw for the $500 cash for me and the Fantasy National memberships. But the Pat Mayo Classic is currently up on Underdog right now. If you want to draft a round one squad against 5 other people who are viewers of this show, so join the community. I'm going to jump in this afternoon, $20, rake free, $10,000 of rake free money in the prize pool, and it is 40% full right now. So I would recommend going to get in on that. Weather, nothing more really than what you said. It's just going to get really hot in the afternoon.
Yeah, I wonder if Friday afternoon just starts getting away.
Maybe. I mean, it gets up to 34 Celsius, which is scorching hot.
At
So
night.
someone emailed me this week. They're like, can you please change everything from Celsius to Fahrenheit because I don't know what's going on. It's like, sorry, pal, you're going to have to deal with that.
I can get the clip, the Google It clip. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
I could pull that one back out. When somebody asked me to switch Celsius to Fahrenheit, just fucking Google it. That was the best one of all time, I think. But yeah, that happens. People will want what they want, Pat.
34 is what? Like 95, 100 degrees?
90 to 91 is my guess.
Yeah. Around that range.
Just because I'm looking at it in Fahrenheit.
Are you?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
there you go.
that's just my guess.
I thought it was even hotter than that.
It could be. It could be.
I mean, it's not. If you're looking at it right now, I don't mean that it's actually going to be hot. I just thought that 34 was like around 100, not around 90. That's crazy.
Pat's advice, just Google it. 93 Fahrenheit is 34 Celsius is 93.2 Fahrenheit.
So when people are getting up above 100 Fahrenheit, that's like absolutely scorching.
Yes.
Like higher than I thought it was.
It's like desert, like Phoenix, Vegas, those places, yeah.
I mean, the first year I moved to Toronto, it was 49 degrees Celsius for 2 consecutive days, which I believe is like 120 Fahrenheit. It's crazy.
I can get by more in that than I can in the freezing cold.
I
though.
agree with you.
That's the difference.
Going for a run in the middle of that was not a great idea.
Yeah, definitely not.
Almost out of heat stroke. But the weather itself, like there's no real wave advantage. I mean, if you do want to play some AM guys and break it up between AM, PM, because you think that it may be one of the days it gets worse in the afternoon, like that's the only real wave split I can think of. It's not like the wind is going to come. There's no rain in the forecast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind anybody doing that ever. We talk about it all the time. I don't see a weather wave stack here, like I said, but just wave stacking, which is different than weather wave stacking, where you're just saying, I'm going to stack a wave. You would avoid, I guess that's the other question too, is like looking at some of the popular plays this week. This is a way you can also do it. Another thing I look at, just strategy-wise, is it looks like a lot of the main chalk. So Scotty, Sepp Straka, if people get to Xander, Bez is a cheap guy, Hideki, they're all PM/AM.
Oh,
so you know what I mean? If you wanted to build some AM PM and you're not worried about Friday afternoon getting away from the course getting away from them, it baking out more in those high temperatures, all of that, you could build some AM PM just for the fun of it, and you would naturally be off of Scotty, Sepp, Xander, Hideki, Bez, a lot of those guys that are just going to pop into the optimal when we build what we think is the optimal for this week.
I might have to do that because I have a bunch of Brooks Morikawa lineups to start off with they're playing together for one thing, but they're AM, PM, so that would just naturally make me a little bit different. Although I do think that's going to be a common start for people that don't use Scotty.
Yeah, it's only fresh in my mind because the year of like Xander, Ricky. Where was that? LACC?
That was last year.
Yeah, whatever. That's what it was. Yeah. And so they came out hot and was like, not my US Open. And then, of course, over the weekend, it changed up quite a bit of how the course played. But I just think in general, I could see something like that again. Like you could see a hot start for a Brooks Morikawa or something like that. And then they can obviously battle through a little bit hotter afternoon where the course is getting away a little bit and still make par and whatnot.
Final bets for the week. I threw together a to make the cut, to miss the cut parlay. The hardest cut to make in golf, top 60 in ties at the U.S. Open in a field of 156. This isn't the official one. I'm still tinkering with it a little bit. So even in the comment section, please let me know which big name guys do you think are going to miss the cut this week? Because that's really where the value is on these. So it's 7 legs. Fleetwood to make, Cantlay to miss, Connors to miss, Keegan to miss, Henley to make, Bez to make, Fowler to miss. 100 to 1. It's plausible.
Anything is, I think, at this event. It's going to be carnage. Those are very tough to get right, but I like them. They're great parlays to put together. So for me, I would have no input on that because some of those guys, like I can easily see where Keegan just bounces back after destroying everybody last week. Over the weekend, he was pretty good. The first 2 rounds, people are like, get
great
on him for next week. How does Keegan not win the U.S. Open? Jokingly saying things like that, but still, he just destroyed everybody. That back 9 on round 3 and then his whole round. He started, I think it was bogey double to start out his round 4. Awesome for me, needing him to fail as massive chalk to get into the finals at the Fantasy Golf World Championship. But I could see him bouncing back this week, and he's in that range of all those other dudes. Straka, Bez, Henley, Siwoo, all them. But I can't imagine he gets played as much as those other guys around him.
Oh, I don't know about that because a lot of people will just instinctively go back to what happened in 2014 and they see that he came 4th. They're like, oh, he can manage this place, no problem. I think there will be that lingering effect.
Yeah, I would say sub 10% though. So 90% of the field's not playing him because if Straka's way up there, 15, Siwoo, Bez.
I'm good with not playing Straka, by the way. I'm playing Siwoo because I bet Siwoo. So the outright bets. I bet Brooks at 25. I bet Morikawa at 26 because I used the 50% boost at 365 to get it on Morikawa. So
yeah, that's fair.
he's down to 18 there as well. I mean, I probably would have ended up settling for the 18 if I didn't have the boost just because I wanted to bet him because I love him this week. But those 2 guys are my top end. I got Cam Smith 40 to 1 with 8 places. You can bet him at 50 with no places if you want to. I bet Hideki at 55 with 8 places. Then I went Siwoo 90 with 8 places and Bez 110 with 8 places. I also threw like chump change on Taylor Moore at 250 to 1. But I did bet Taylor Moore top 30 at plus 333.
Okay. Yeah, having the places seems nice this week.
Yeah.
Right? There's a chance that those other ones get wiped out.
Well, I was trying to think, like, who can run down... I mean, I don't think that Morikawa can run down Scotty since he's been playing with Scotty in final groups for the past 3 months and has yet to run him down.
It's probably true.
That's going to be tough for him.
He tried. That 34-footer, man. I thought that was the one. I was like, oh, Scotty's going to buckle, and then no chance.
No, Scotty doesn't buckle. Like, Morikawa just needed to continue to make the putts, and he just couldn't do it.
The adrenaline off that putt was too much if you saw the tee shot following. It was definitely bad, but Steven Yeager is the guy, right? He's the guy that can beat Scotty.
That's the only guy.
The Scotty Slayer, Steven Yeager.
I like it.
Yeah.
One and done for the week. Cuss took Scotty. I took Morikawa, and I totally forget who. I think Jeff took Brooks. But in the big one and done, I have fallen out of the money in both of them. I had a bad week last week at an elevated event.
I got a guy.
Should hit me.
Dustin Johnson.
Ooh.
It's you can only play him at a major, live guy.
I'm taking Morikawa for my main team. He's down to 36% remaining, so not that many people can use him. And I do think that people will jump on the live guys. Therefore, if you can find the PGA guy that you like, just use them instead.
So if Kawa comes in at like 12, 15.
It's fine.
Fine.
If he wins. I mean, obviously you need to pick a winner here.
Man, the U.S. Open. It's just hard, we're going to get to it, but like Scotty Morikawa, it's free. You can start your lineup with that. You have all the 6K guys to build it. It's just, it's going to be very popular, and it's the U.S. Open. I just keep saying it. It's carnage. Go back and look at like the last 4 years. It's sub 5%. You can go on Cut Sweats, figure it out. It's like sub 5%, 6-6. You building with 3 or 4 chalk guys in your lineup, give up. Donate your money right now. It ain't happening. It just doesn't happen.
Maybe that's the move. Take the 6 chalkiest guys and to play to miss the cut parlay, but do like the round robin of 4s. Because like 4 of the 6 will miss the cut.
Every year they're riding it, and even further in-depth research shows you that it's also the chalk that gets through is it's on the number, or it's there. Like they had a chance to miss too. So you're seeing it from both sides happening. And again, people will ignore this advice anyway and just go jam all the chalk, and that's fine. But hopefully we can take advantage of that. And so I love the U.S. Open. I can't say it enough every year, but I feel like this has turned into my favorite major, right? When you look back to it, everyone has the Masters. I get it, and the history and all of that. The Open we talk about because we get to stay up late. And it's fun.
I prefer the Open, but there's something fun about watching the U.S. Open. That I get why people were disappointed last year with it. It's the course itself wasn't great, was the problem. Like when Wyndham Clark had hit that giant slice on 18 and be fine.
Gets away with it.
Come on.
I hate all courses like that, actually, that end like that. I don't know enough about courses to comment on them. I stay out of that lane. I'll let others that love these courses and all the other stuff that goes with them talk about it. But I think That does make sense. Like when that happens, or the year like we talked about at the RBC a couple weeks ago, when it was like they can just pound it off the back wall in the playoff, even like just drives me nuts. Like that's not how a golf tournament should end. It's just brutal. So yeah, we'll have to see. I think this course looks awesome. And, you know, I didn't pay enough attention to it back in 14. Obviously, this week I looked a lot at it and just going back to it and stuff. But, man, I'm excited for this week. I also love seeing people melt down, not just the golfers, but people playing DFS where it's like, it's over. Bogey is a fantastic score. Par is like a birdie. Just deal with it and have some fun this week.
Do you think a lot of people will be throwing in the towel within 10 minutes of lock on Thursday morning?
I absolutely guarantee it. Go to shipitnation.com, join, get in the Discord. You can watch that on Thursday. That's when I exit the Discord. It's Thursday mornings because of that.
You don't want to take part in the tilt cast?
Oh, somebody won. The first guy to make a birdie is the winner. The first guy to make a double is a loser. By the way, my hero, Sung Jae Im, last week, triple bogey on the first hole. I was pissed. Doubled the last, which I know hurt some others, but still, pretty good week for the guy, considering a triple on the first and a double on the last. Happy to see that.
Well, Straka saved my week with his chip-in birdie on 18 to come inside the top 5.
Man, I saw that for you. Bear Off had it as well, but for Hoop, he was 50th, about to go to 51st.
And he had
lose,
Straka?
And he had Straka, and he absolutely needed that. It was over, and you saw how that was going past the hole. If that doesn't go in...
Oh, it's bogey, for sure.
It's gone. It's bogey. Yeah, exactly. So he needed that, and that got him up to 42nd, and he snuck a lineup in as well.
So you and Hoop both have teams in the Fantasy Golf World Championship.
We
I
do.
don't,
Yeah.
by the way.
I can tell you it's a murderer's row. It's literally at least the strongest field I've seen in a while for live finals in general. NFL is always stacked. Get it, right? Obviously, everybody's into that. There's big money buy-ins that you can get in through, but for PGA, I've never seen it this stacked for a Final 50.
It's like Utica, McLovin.
Even with them losing
Whistles.
some, Peter Gibbons lost some, Vasa lost some, but it's like just Fantasin. My buddy won the heavy irons last week. Great dude. Met him and his wife at a few of these events. He's out there. He got 4 entries through of, I think he only had 5 or 6 that he was down to. And I say only because others had 10 down to 2. And it was carnage last week. It's always tough to get through the finals, even with them extrapolating it from 40 making the live final up to 50 this year. So, yeah, it's a super strong field. I didn't name a bunch of people. I respect all their games. It's an incredible one. So anybody who wins this, hopefully me, not just for the giveaway, but for being able to beat a crew like that, it's going to be an awesome event.
And like you said, it doesn't start till Friday, so you're going to show up and people's teams might just be dead.
I'm still showing up on Thursday. I'm going old school on them. You get to golf the course on Monday.
Which you're not doing.
Which I don't. People always ask me, what's your handicap? I literally haven't played golf in like 4 years. So I used to like scrambles.
Join the club with me and Cust.
I might have to get out there again in the summertime, and I'll be with the old back issues then. I don't know, but it's a lot of fun. I love golf. The problem is, as a super hyper competitive person, I struggle with it because it's like you really have to put the time in to get good at it. And I know everyone says this, like you hit 1 or 2 good shots. That's what it's all about. Have some fun with the friends, all that. I struggle because it's like I just can't get better at it. It's just tough, and I don't have the time to put into it that I'm putting into all these other things. But yeah, either way, people are getting to golf the course on Monday. So they made it Friday through Tuesday as opposed to Thursday through Monday. I get why they did it. The only downfall to what you were just talking about is that there will be people that show up Friday evening for the welcome ceremony that are potentially 3 of 6 lineups or 2 of 6 lineups that just have no chance.
It's such a funny tournament to do it at as well. I was actually going to do the PGA Tour live for Rocket Mortgage this year, but I'm not going to end up doing that for reasons, which people will find out about very soon. But that would have been interesting. I could be on the call.
Man, I think that's the thing. When we get to President's Cup, though, that's Mayo Media Network content, but that's going to be a fun week for being live, being at an event, having the crew that we have there, Cuss doing random shit, like when we take them to restaurants and do different stuff like that. It's just going to be, Content King is going to be back at it again. You'll have a ton of stuff covered for everybody.
And maybe someone will come join us if you win $1 million.
I'm definitely going to bring at least one
I
person.
thought you were going to say I'm definitely going to win $1 million.
I'm definitely going to win $1 million.
I like it. That's what I want to hear. That's what the viewers who used code Mayo to get into the draw want to hear.
I'm just happy I at least got through this time for them to do it, and have something out of it. King of the Beach, bit of a disappointment. Would love to make up for that. It's definitely a goal of mine. So excited to be there again. Thanks to everybody for the support, but lots of ways to get into the giveaways and have some fun with it.
I like that you said that although you can play the course on Monday, most people who play DFS PGA don't golf.
Yeah, my buddy Garns, awesome player. He's in it as well. I know he's hyped. He's going to go out and golf the course. He's probably going to golf every day leading up to it. It's random that some do and some don't. I just think it's a bit of a lag in their stuff when they assume that people that play golf DFS all golf. It's not necessarily true at all. What we talk about all the time over at Ship It Nation, other people do as well. It's not about if you play a sport. We're playing DFS. It's a game. You're playing against other players with different knowledge and everything like that. So a lot of these guys, I don't think golf at all.
Well, it's funny that you say you don't play the sport because golf has a high barrier of entry. Like you wouldn't want to go out and embarrass yourself with it. And it's not something you can just pick up and go do. It costs a ton of money to go do. Most people who are good started playing when they were 5 years old, 10 years old.
I think that's true. Yeah.
But I remember I remember seeing clips because Meanie went to go do it when I worked at Fantasy. It was one of the FanDuel Live finals for football. People think they are good at football, and it is fucking hilarious.
Can't even throw a football, can't throw a
Can't
spiral,
catch.
throwing right-handed.
Doing these ones when the ball is coming in.
Look like they're throwing left-handed when they're right-handed. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, baseball, we've seen it, the baseball live finals, the big strikeouts or the undercut swings, like going for like an uppercut moonshot. Like, no, that's not how it works. So I'm no special athlete. I'm just telling you that's why it's funny. Most of these people are on spreadsheets, good with numbers, financial backgrounds, things like that, where they're really good at DFS, has nothing to do with the sport at all.
Let's talk about DraftKings. Let's try to win some money here. My
do it.
losing streak continued last week. That was no fun. Missed out on the 250 cash by like 2 points. Always happens. That's what I get for having a stupid 5 of 6 and Victor shitting all over himself.
It's bad for him as well the weekend.
Yeah, wasn't great.
Is this better for him?
I don't think so, no.
What about
But let's talk ownership first.
Okay, let's do
because
that.
Victor is the one from the very top end, like from Morikawa and up. So $9,400 through Scheffler, Victor is going to be the lowest owned, or Bryson maybe.
I think Bryson gets steamed.
He probably should. Like I've kind of talked myself into Bryson a little bit more as the week has gone along.
Sure.
But I just do, and especially with Rahm withdrawing, anyone who was going to use Rahm as the pivot is now just going to use Bryson.
Yeah, I think Rahm does a couple things. Actually, good that you brought that up because he did WD, obviously the toe or whatever it was. But just to note, like it's $800 difference down to those other two. So while I agree with you, it's going to trickle some to those two. I actually think it still goes up to Xander as well.
Seeing a lot of Xander.
So I'm seeing like Scotty, Morikawa, Xander, and then I'm seeing Bryson and Brooks fall in line behind with Rory still going to get some late steam probably, but he will get squeezed as well because he's between Scotty and Xander.
Yeah, I have Rory and Bryson at right around the same ownership, with Brooks being a little bit higher.
I'm pretty close to you right now. I think I still have Rory a little bit more than them just because I don't know how people are going to handle it, but you did see it even last week, some late Rory, a little people jump onto him around the end, so I'm not sure if that'll happen this week.
Over under in the $15 Millionaire Maker, 38.5% on Scotty. It's going to be right around there.
Man.
You'd be probably logical to take the under, because I asked this question on the Best Bet show yesterday with Cam and Byron about how, what would you set Scotty's over under for major championship wins in his career at? People are like 9.5, 10.5. I set it at 4.5. Maybe I was way low on that. But I think just when we get sucked into the moment, it just feels like he's never going to lose. But this is the best he's ever going to play. This only lasts for so long.
Maybe. I don't know. I would take the over on the 4.5 majors, I feel like. I know that I would not be near 9.5 right now, and if he gets there, great for him, and we get to witness something special. But I would still think he's going to be involved in these majors. He has been now for,
I agree. But, the thing that I pointed out was, we said the same thing about Spieth. Now he has 2 just overall wins in the past 7 years. Morikawa gets off to the hot start. He has 2. DJ only has 2. Rahm only has 2. After Rahm won the Masters, what would you have said? Remember the run that Rahm was on? It gets overshadowed now by the better run that Scheffler is on. But that 6-month stretch for Rahm, he was basically unbeatable.
Yeah, and that's what I would look at, I guess, when you go back and Data Golf, a place like that you can go look it up. This is like a runaway stretch for Scotty.
Agreed.
Of the numbers versus the field and second versus 50th or something down the road. And you are right. But I actually had Rahm, I loved Rahm before he went to live. I had Rahm to get the career Grand Slam before Rory. That was my take. I said he's gonna get these majors and be involved in all of them and then find his way, and it's gonna happen. I would just take the over on 4.5 for Scotty because it seems low for the career.
It does seem like the average. If you were to set a line that was even money on both sides, I think 6.5 would be the number where you would draw the most action for both over and under. 4.5, everyone would just take the over.
Yeah, I was thinking 5.5, so you're about right. So good on that. I would take the under on 38.5.
35?
35 is where I have him.
Okay.
So 34.8. 35.6, whatever it ends up happening, I sort of feel him being in that range.
Do you think he's higher or lower the higher stakes that you get?
Higher.
Okay. Interesting.
The higher stakes will just play
Scotty,
variations of
Seb.
what we talked about and let other people make mistakes. If you want to try and get your Cantlay Spieth lineups because that makes you different, You go ahead. I'm going to play Scotty and Morikawa and do that. Now, I'm just saying what people do. Like at the higher stakes, I'm going to look at different angles of approach, and we'll talk about some and have some covered over at Ship It Nation. But I think that this is definitely the conversation that's going to start it off. It's like Scotty, Kawa, Decky, Straka fill in the last two spots.
Go to fantasynational.com/Mayo right now and get 20% off. See the ownership, build your lineups very easily, and do your research. Additionally, if you subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Apple or Spotify, or both, and leave the review, share it around, all that fun stuff, you get into the draw for a free annual membership to Fantasy National, but I'm not going to be doing the draw until after the U.S. Open starts. So if you do want to get it on the U.S. Open, Fantasy National right now, and then code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy also get you in all these draws as well. So the way that I see the top going, Scotty way above everyone else, Morikawa and Xander next. They could be the same, give or take a few points. Then we're into Brooks, who I think is a little bit above the pack, maybe the same as Ludwig.
I think you got Brooks right. I'm not sure how Oberg actually gets played out here, but he's probably just 2 or 3 points under, so I'm fine with it.
So maybe Ludwig is a part of the Rory Bryson tier.
Challenge with Ludwig is Morikawa for 200 less.
Yes.
So it just pulls more and more away from, even though he's up there, it at least keeps him in check. That's all.
And then you have Victor, who I anticipate. I mean, I haven't projected at 10%. I bet you he ends up lower. Just because that's how it seems. Like, if Scotty's, like, if I have the calculation on Scotty right now at like 30%, I think that he's going to be 35%. Like, I do find in major championships, the chalk gets chalkier.
I would have Hovland go. I thought you were going to say it, and I was going to agree with you. I have Hovland going the other way.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, everyone can't. If you think that Bryson's going to go the other way and Rory's going to go the other way, Victor, like, there's only so many guys that can go the other way.
Well, it's more that if you have Scotty in check, like people are literally out there saying and touting that he's going to be like 50 or 60% in this thing. He's just not.
That's too much.
That's not going to happen. Rory could get really squeezed, which then pushes down to those guys. Xander could get held in check at like a 25 or something. That still allows guys like Bryson to be at 15 and Koepka to be at 17. Well, Hovland is at 17 as well. So I'm just saying it's going to happen. I would bet large amounts that Hovland is going to be higher than 12%. If that's what you were sort of putting out there, 10 and you had the under,
yeah.
I would take heavy over on 12.
I'd take the under, would go $100, under
Definitely.
12 in the 15.
Sure.
Let's do it.
I like that one. Kawa, I would put somewhere in like that 25 range.
Yeah, 20 to 25.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
So after that, it's like a dead zone for 15 guys. Hideki's going to be super highly owned. Fleetwood should be super highly owned. Everyone else is, you'll get Fitz and Finau maybe lingering in the double digits, maybe Cam Smith, but I can see all these guys being single digits. Like 0 people are playing Patrick Cantlay. Relatively few people are playing Justin Thomas. No one is playing Wyndham Clark. Like these guys are just pass.
So this is very similar actually to, just now thinking out loud as you were saying that, the PGA Championship. Because remember at that one, Fleetwood was in the 8K range. We thought he was going to be super chalk, and then he came in at 14%. It's almost the same. It was that entire range that sort of got overlooked. There was Scotty up top, some 9K guys and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty similar to the PGA Championship. I see Tommy Fleetwood in this range getting a little love. We know Decky for sure is getting love, and then Fitz. Maybe like Cam Smith and Fitz get a little bit of love.
Maybe Finau, because people love to play Finau.
That's true too. I actually could have him at double digits here. So,
and then going down into the 7s and 6s, what I'm seeing right now: Sungjae, Russell Henley, maybe Tom Kim a little bit, but probably not that much. People really seem to like Sam Burns this week.
I think Burns, Kim, Minwoo all getting a lot of talk. Connors, but it's all going to be kept in check. I think Theegala still gets the love though at 7,600.
Does he fit with those lineups that you just talked about? Scotty, Morikawa, Hideki?
Not really, but I think that's where some of the Hideki stuff just gets pushed down. If someone needs that money or wants to change it up a little bit, I could see that. For example, someone like Decky and Siwoo, or it's Theegala and Corey Connors or Burns. Like I can see those types of swaps getting made. People are like, see, I'm different, but you didn't really do shit. You just moved 2 guys.
So out of Henley, Harmon, Norin, Keegan, Siwoo, and Denny, who are all within $300 of each other, $200 of each other. They're all drawing interest from people. Who do you think is the guy that ends up getting way above everyone else, and who's the guy that no one plays?
I think Henley, Norin, and Siwoo. I'm bad with when you list all those guys, but for 3 that I can pick out of the list, Henley, Norin, and Siwoo in that upper 6K range are where it goes.
Billy Horschel, I'm seeing with a little bit of love at 6,600. I actually like Daniel Berger, who's right below him.
How's your?
How is your burger? Burger time. I also like Taylor more, but that's always just me. And then you got Straka at $6,500. I have him projected at 14% right now. I could see him breaking 20.
Yeah, I had him around 15.5. So it's again, I'm not worried about the 1.5. I'm just saying I'm with you. It's I got that one going up over 14. So, and that's even in the $15 because again, he just fits with every style lineup. You could go a balance that ends on him. You could have him as your second last guy in if you want to get super aggressive. You can have him your last guy in Scotty lineups. He's going to be super popular in Scotty builds. That's one thing to remember, right? If you're talking about it, sometimes just doing the math quick and talking on live, it's tougher. But like if there was 100,000 people in a tournament and 15,000 of those lineups are Straka lineups, there is a possibility that 7,500 plus are with Scotty. 50% of the Straka lineups involve Scotty or more. I'm just saying that's the high possibility. So if you see something like that, and when you go back and analyze these fields, that's who you have to remember. It's not who you play, it's how you play them. You could play, if you really like Straka and you think it's just a misprice and he's been playing good even before last week and
he has
so
been.
On and so forth, and he has been. People that have Straka Scotty lineups, if Scotty fails even somewhat, a T15 or something, and Straka gets there, people will bitch. They'll say Straka chalk just goes off. You can't beat this game. The chalk always hits. But somebody out there will have a Rory, let's say Rory gets the job done or whatever, and it's Rory and Straka and someone else. They won't think of it from that perspective, which was a way lower owned version of a way to use Straka. So just to give an example.
Would you use Scheffler with Straka? Or would you make a rule just being like, nah, that's one combo I don't want because that might be the most popular condo?
Now, I would definitely look to avoid combinations. Will I have some of them together? Probably. But I'm saying when I'm building for large field tournaments, one of the things that people don't do enough of is focus on these combinations. That's really what it stems
I would say Scheffler, combination of 3 of these 4, if not all 4. And we'll build out this lineup in a second. Scotty, Henley, Straka, Bez.
It's the lineup. It, by the way, ends with Cow and Matsuyama for the absolute
Is that actually
optimal.
true?
That's the lineup, yeah.
I may have actually... I hand-built one lineup so far this week to enter in this like season-long free contest that I just... What's my first gut instinct on everything? And to throw it in, that may have been my lineup.
This lineup is absolutely dead on arrival for winning $15 Millie Maker. Like, don't play the lineup we say. This is just to tell you it. This lineup is going to be possibly everybody over, even the scrubs, like over 12 in the 12 to 15 range, possibly higher on Straka, Matsuyama, Kawa, and Scheffler, like the highest. So for their ranges by far. So that's just to show you that's the lineup.
That is the lineup, and it fits. $0 remaining.
Yep. And like I said, what people are going to do is, oh, don't worry, I'm going to fix this. Let me move Matsuyama to Thigala, and that gets me Henley up to Tom Kim or Connors or Sam Burns. Look how different I am from what Mayo and Tambo just talked about. No, dead on arrival. Dead lineups going in. Why, when people say that you can't play the field of a guy, or I got to go all in or fade on Scheffler, you don't have to. Like, don't play those shitty Scheffler lineups in a 235K person field. That's where you're dead.
So let's make some adjustments to the chalk lineup of the week. I'm going to enter this in the $5 just to see how it ends up doing. And we'll re-import it.
And if it wins, congrats on the chop.
Yeah, well,
when Skylar, our guy, puts out, Skyhook DFS, when he puts out the most duplicated lineup, this should be in the top 3, if not first.
So first move that we can make, Straka turns into Akshay very easily. Because I do think that the one part that people are overlooking about Pinehurst is you can make birdies here. Got to make birdies here. When I went back and looked at the numbers for the week, like all the guys, bogey avoidance was super high, driving distance was super high. They hit like around average amount of fairways. Like just being super accurate didn't really accomplish all that much because everyone was super accurate. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be wildly inaccurate. That could be a problem. And some certain guys were putting from off the green. So I really don't know how the around the green is going to play. But if you can be an excellent iron player and potentially hold some of these greens from 200 plus, where Bhatia is one of the best players in the world at that. So is Morikawa. So is Hideki. Why they're getting all the love. Now, Bhatia could absolutely implode. We've seen that so many times in the past. But versus Sepp, I do think that Bhatia goes out and makes more birdies than Sepp does. He might not be able to scramble to save himself.
Yeah, he's got to get through the cut, and then he's got to outscore him. And, Sepp could miss the cut. Akshay makes it. That's a quick solve. That is a secondary addition, though, of what I just talked about when people make swaps in this. I think the biggest issue with this is lineup construction. Right?
Well,
weeks are people willing to play 3 6K guys? Never. And all of a sudden this week it's like the jam. People just got to get 3 6K guys in there because they're all so underpriced. Do you think there's a better chance of the trio of Henley, Sepp Straka, or Bhatia and Bez all making the cut and doing something over the weekend versus if you got to go up, whether you like these guys or not, of like a Thigala, Cam Young, Minwoo combination or a Bobby Mack, Sam Burns, Dustin Johnson. Like, again, nobody's going to like them because they haven't done anything lately. They haven't seen it. That at a U.S. Open, to me, is going to be the spot that you're going to want to be. Like, I'm just more than fine. I don't like them more, and I don't disagree that the 6K range is underpriced. But I hate that the most popular guy, Scotty Scheffler, almost gets forced in to that. So if you're playing Scotty, I would look to go Scotty with no 6K guys, Scotty with one 6K guy, Scotty with no Morikawa, things like that. That is the rules that I'd be looking at.
Okay, so let's go Scheffler, Akshay.
Okay.
And there's actually a few other guys right around Bez that I don't mind. Like you mentioned Steven Yeager, the only guy that can outrun Scotty Scheffler. Are people just off Yeager now? I know that he also hasn't been good, but...
Kind of just hurt people's feelings last week, by the way. It wasn't like the worst until it was.
What did he end up with?
It was a bad round, too, that cost him.
He was 75 in both rounds. Like, he hasn't been playing well, basically, since he won. I guess Wells Fargo, 21st. CJ Cup, 20th. Heritage, 18th.
It's not my favorite guy. It's just funny that you said that. Like
Mac Hughes is right there. I think he burned a ton of people last week, but he's played relatively decent at U.S. Opens. Gary Woodland is a U.S. Open winner 5 years ago. He's right there. I like Sandbelt Cam Davis.
Yeah.
Dude just kind of shows up out of nowhere. Like, these are all viable options. Hadwin just had a great week, and no one wants to play him.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And you know, that's a prime example. But even down here, like, again, it's because people just had bad weeks, but everybody wanted Glover last week. People were playing Kitayama as the leverage play at 7K last week. He's 65. Glover's 64.
Kitayama, I think, I used him in my main lineup. That Victor one that I talked about. He was the guy who missed the cut for me. I think he shot like 82 in the second round.
81 or 82, yeah, something like that. Again, last week's tournament, in one round, he shot this number. It's totally different, setting up for another week.
So I had a slightly different strategy this week of potentially identifying guys at the very bottom. Now, you could say that maybe that the around the green is a lot easier than people think if you can miss in the right spots. Why not someone like Tom Hoge, who sucks around the green, but if you give him more outs, he actually is a pretty good putter. We know his irons are good. Mm-hmm. We know he's going to hit fairways. Should we be taking a look at him, or is this a cut above of what he does?
No, I'm fine with somebody like him. Like, that's what you talked about in there. I don't know if Horschel will actually get the love, but I don't hate guys like this that could just make their way through the cut, grind out some of the pars, and then find some of that scoring along the way. Like, if they blow up, they blow up. But it's just an example. So Hoagie's the same price as Straka. I guess, that's where I'm saying we'll get to these builds anyway. We always go through multiple options, but I truly believe what people are looking at is what you're looking at, and it could be right, and I'll be wrong, and that's okay. It's one major. There's 40 tournaments a year or more that we're going to get to be involved in. Everyone's looking for, if I don't play Straka, Bez, etc., who are the other guys down here I play, because they're obsessed with the fact that they need to go stars and scrubs. Not saying you're obsessed, but more so saying like that's where you want to find your plays. Like, everyone's looking for these diamond in the roughs. I think the 6K range is loaded, but I don't think it would surprise anybody if Benny Ann, Sungjae, Burns, Connors, Minwoo, Jason Day, Thigala, Lowry, Hatton, Spieth, if that's your leaderboard with Scotty, Rory, Xander, those guys trickled within it, and everyone's going, oh, my scrubs missed the cut, or they're down there in T52. Hopefully they can do something over the weekend, but that's really just how I'm thinking about it. So I would build bottom up of like, who do you like in the 7Ks? And then see if your last guy is Tom Hoge with Scheffler. What does that look like?
I don't like the 7Ks is the problem.
Awesome.
I like Jason Day.
I think that's the best thing, though.
For reasons unknown, I like Jason Day. I don't like Dustin. I don't like Minwoo. Tom Kim, maybe. I don't like Burns or Connors or Bobby Mack. Ben Ann, Sungjae, maybe. I hate Fowler. Don't like Rose. So that's tough for me in this bottom part. Like, I don't like Cam Young, but I do think that with the way that these guys have played so far this year, that it's weird to see Cam Young priced with these guys, considering Zalatoris has also been bad, yet he's in the 8K range.
Yeah, that's where you pick up. I mean, we've talked for years on these shows now about majors. That's the strategy we've brought to other shows now, of being like, why is this guy down in this price range? It's odd to me. People loved Cam Young all year. They talked about all these other places. This could easily set up for him this week. You could see him happen. He's been good in majors for the most part. And then he's 7,500. Like, why couldn't he work? And I don't know, like, people are going to say that's why they want Sepp Straka, a dude that's actually won and is 6,500 and has been on a hot streak and a tear. I don't disagree. It's all I'm saying is you're just landing on similar builds. So I'm looking for you're looking for double or triple leverage this week, and you're getting it at the best time. And I say triple because Scotty was always going to be popular, but you can't get people off of him because he literally just won last week in resounding fashion, even though it was by one stroke. The fist pump at the end at Jack's place, the way it went down to the wire with Morikawa, all these factors. So you've got like a double Scotty pump. You have the punts to make it work. The constructions are all being built out this way. And even when people are looking to get off these constructions, they're looking for different guys in the same constructions. Get off these guys, I should say. They're looking to get in. They're ending up on similar constructions, just different guys. So I think it's the ultimate leverage week that you can do it, and there's a lot on the line, which makes it worth it.
So what I found very interesting was I have a bunch of guys this week who, in the Pinehurst model that I built out, rate out really well. Your Bez, Victor Perez is one of them. Sepp, obviously. Aaron Rye, who just always rates out well. But only Bez rates out well in the course model itself for what Pinehurst actually demands. So if like you're looking at 200-yard approaches and around the green play, like these guys all do well. But when you amp it up a little bit and be like firm and fast fairways, weight that at like 5%. Difficult greens to hit, weight that at 15%, whatever it might be. All these guys start getting really bad in terms of the rankings. Like Sepp is 12th. Nope, he is. Where's Sepp? Sepp is 13th in the overall stat model. He's 103rd in the course model.
That's my takeaway. I mean, I don't disagree with you, and that's kind of what I'm preaching right now, is that's the setup of what everybody's thinking is like the nuts and the obvious, and how can I get different when the pricing's this bad, or how can I do all this stuff? I must play these guys. It's like, you don't think Sepp Straka can just blow up at a U.S. Open and be gone quick? Like, it's happened all the time to the same chalk plays that you thought were this guy the last 4 years. Why could it not happen this year to that guy at 6,500? Like, it's definitely possible. And
then you start looking at some guys who go the other way, like Siwoo is the ultimate one for this. Like, he's 33rd in the like Pinehurst model, 7th in the course model. Mm-hmm. And then you have Russell Henley's inside the top 10. Brian Harmon is 14th. Like, that range of guys that we talked about a little bit earlier. Sung Jae's actually inside the top 20 as well. And so is Jason Day, which is really weird because he sucks. Okay. Dustin rates out really well in the course fit too. Just I don't know where his game is at. Like, he seems genuinely disinterested with golf.
It's possible, but it takes one to bounce back. And I mean, he obviously still wants to. People always said this. This is the other funny part about the DJs and some of the live stuff is like they went there, they took all this money, and now they're disinterested or they're not good or whatever. And that's possible. But the original talking piece was always the same. It's they went there and did it for the guys that had majors already because they can play in the majors still. And that's all they care about. So, you know, Rahm out this week on the WD, but maybe DJ's the guy that picks it up and turns his shit around because he knows that's sort of part of his legacy now is just this. He has to get after it.
I mean, his legacy might be, I got like $200 million on Kerr. Where Bryson actively seems to care. Like, he's really trying to make the most out of being on live.
Yeah, what does that get you to? Like, if you go, man, it's close. It's like Ludwig Xander. But anyway, this type of lineup is just a prime example of what you just said. You can go your guys you mentioned, Harmon, Day, Sung Jae, Dustin Johnson, and you still get to play Oberg and Xander. Oh, but I didn't get Scotty in. Like, yeah, you didn't. Or you can just change Xander and Oberg to Scotty and Matt Fitzpatrick.
So this was my favorite style of lineup that I played. So just basically what you just said. Mm-hmm. Brooks, Morikawa, Cam Smith with Day, Harmon, and Cam Young.
Brooks, Kawa, Smith, Day, Harmon, Cam Young.
Mm-hmm. And Harmon could be Siwoo. You could take Day down. You could take Cam Young down. You could take Day up if you wanted to get Hideki into that lineup. Because I don't think adding Hideki chalk into this lineup really impacts you all that much.
This is the key. This is what it's going to be this week, and I understand it. And that's, you know, prime example of another thing we've talked about on the show a million times about projections. This lineup projects very poorly to 40 points. And projection bros, and we use them too, and you know, they're part of what you're doing is to get that as a piece of the puzzle, is just not going to allow for them to reach this far. But the time I would want to reach this far is in a $15, 235,000 person field with 1 million on the line up top, where fifth place is garbage compared to everything else. You know what I mean? Like, you need a top 5 in that. So I would be willing to take that risk on. This has way less ownership, a completely different construction, and like Harmon, Day, Young being in the top 10. You ask any casual player, like person, Harmon, Day, Young, or Sepp Straka, Christian Bezuidenhout, and Russell Henley. Who would you think is going to be in the top 10 of the U.S. Open? they're going to say the side that includes Jason Day, Cam Young, Harmon, all that. The DFS players with the value plays are going to say the other side. But to me, that's a major point.
Considering that Brian Harmon, Jason Day, and I believe Cam Young all just finished top 2 between the 3 of them at the Open Championship last year, yeah, I think you have a point there.
But no one wants it this week because it doesn't project that way. And the top 20 odds say that Sepp Straka is going to dust the field. So that's exactly how it works. I get it. There's ways to be different with a guy like Sepp Straka, but I'm just saying this was a prime example. You don't have Scotty either, right? That's going to be the problem. Scotty's going to be the big decision in the projections because he's going to project way better than everybody around him.
Cam Young's been so bad. So bad. So who can we use instead of Cam Young? 7600? We can use Thigala instead of Cam Young. I don't think that Thigala gets out of control in terms of ownership.
Me neither. Same in that sort of range. Like it's again, you said it. It's hard to get him there with people going with Decky or with people going with the Scotty builds and dropping down. Like it's just a guy that could be held in check of like a 12 to 16 type range, which means 85% of the field essentially or more not playing him.
Are you playing Spieth?
Yep.
Would you play Spieth, Hatton, or Lowry if forced to choose?
Let me just look. I could tell you roughly what I'm thinking here, but probably right in that order. Probably Spieth, Hatton, Lowry.
Okay.
One thing about Lowry, I mean, I guess is interesting, is just that what we've been on him for is he cannot
putt.
Correct. And the setup that could that be better here, guys that can't putt? Like we always talk about that, where it's like when you have these greens that can neutralize everybody, that it's kind of like set up where you would kind of want that, but he has the creativity. He has the hands around the green. If it's a good Shane Lowry week.
I would say that I do think that this course takes a lot out of his hands. I think that a traditional U.S. Open setup, it's much better for him. Like even looking back to last year with the I think you want the more narrow fairways with Shane Lowry because he's so good at hitting fairways. That gives him such an advantage against the field where he's not hitting out of the rough. And it'd be one thing if Shane was playing the way that he was in Florida. I mean, I've continued to bet this loser every single week, so I was like, what am I talking about? But he was gaining, like, on average, 5.5 strokes on approach for 4 straight weeks or 6 straight weeks. He's not doing that anymore.
You just need to tell him that every day is Saturday.
Seriously, yeah.
If you've seen his Saturday-Sunday splits, we looked it up on Monday. It's insane how good he's been on Saturdays versus Sundays. Last week blew up again, but his Saturday was nice.
Like, the only reason that he had a decent PGA championship is because he gained, like, 8 strokes putting in one round. Like, he lost almost 2 strokes on approach for the week.
True, but okay, then let me frame it a different way. I'm not, hard selling Lowry here, but I think that's an interesting point you brought up. At a U.S. Open where it typically becomes about scoring, even one spike round could be enough. Making a cut, Shane Lowry can do that. Spike round, Shane Lowry can do that. And then position placement points, one spike round on a Saturday can do enough where if it vaults him into T5, but he falls back to T20 on Sunday because of a bad round at 7,700, that can still play very well at a U.S. Open. And then one other point I want to get your take on, because it was brought up yesterday with old Martin Keimer. We know what he did.
Party Marty.
He talked about it with his Texas wedge and how he, went around this course like that. He said it's not actually the same. We know we saw a lot of videos yesterday of these fast greens and people with their buckets down below the greens working on putting uphill and landing it up on there. He said it's way bumpier. It's not really set up the same way as what it was in that sense. So you may need some of these hands around the greens to be able to find those chips to roll up to the pin.
Maybe, but I think that, I saw Webb Simpson talk about this as well, that he wasn't end up using his putter. Like, he tried out the putter. He said it didn't really work all that well from off the green, so he just started using a 3-wood. Like, that's easier to chip with. So I think that people have a lot of other options. Let me run another lineup by you here.
Sure.
It starts with Morikawa.
Very unique. No, just kidding. Go ahead. What do we got?
Morikawa, Fleetwood, Zal, Fitz, Hideki, Thigala. Is there just not enough upside in that lineup?
Zal, Fitz, Hideki, Thigala?
Because to me it feels like it is, but I think that these guys are good, and I would say that results would indicate that they're not.
Yeah, I think what it's pretty standard argument is you're lacking win equity. Morikawa, like I said, can't close the door even if he gets into the range with Scotty. Is he going to do it? No. Obviously he has, major winner a couple times, like you look at that, but Fleetwood can't. Zal finally did and then got injured. Fitzpatrick won a U.S. Open, so he can. Matsuyama's a major winner. He can. Thigala's been winning. He can.
Well, he's won once.
Yeah, he's won. Sorry, I should have said, some of these guys have won, so they can, is my point. Not a major, maybe, but my point would be everyone's just it's going to be the same conversation as always, Pat. Where's Scotty? You're lacking the upside.
That's fine. We'll have no Scotty lineups here. Let's take Thigala out and use Siwoo into this lineup instead. And we'll get rid of Fitzpatrick, who I like. mean, I should like Zalatoris the least, but I like Fitzpatrick the least of this bunch. Now that leaves us at 9,000. We can get Wyndham Clark, Justin Thomas, or Cam Smith in here.
Yeah.
So now you go Morikawa, Cam Smith. I feel a little bit better. I mean, I bet both those guys to win, so I do hope that they have upside in this situation.
Yeah, there's a lot of different angles you can play, like even your Wyndham Clark angle.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would lean Cam over Wyndham Clark.
If you did that, could you move?
You know who I kind of like?
I kind of like Zal up to Homa. That's a nice lineup right there.
Zal up to. What are your thoughts on Homa here? Because the other thing that I was thinking about doing is taking Siwoo Kim to SH Kim. And then you take out Cam Smith and you have 9,900 and you can get Ludwig. You can almost get Brooks if you make one more. If you take Zal to, I think, Fitzpatrick. Yeah, if you take Zal to Fitzpatrick, make that 1v1 swap, and turn Siwoo into SH Kim, who I love his Thursday 3-ball, if nothing else. It's like him, Justin Lauer, and someone else. And then you can turn that Cam Smith spot into Brooks. So now you're back to Brooks, Hideki, Morikawa, with Fitz, Fleetwood, and SH Kim. Now I feel like that does have substantial upside.
Yeah, you need SH Kim to do something, and the rest seem pretty solid.
Yeah. And everyone's just so fixated on Bez at 61. I agree. Listen, I bet Bez to win. I like Bez this week. And you mentioned Straka. But I don't see a ton of differentiation in a lot of these guys between the low sixes and basically the high sixes or low sevens. But even when you start dipping down, it does feel like there is a bit of a cutoff once you drop into the fives. But there's guys down there who are absolutely fine. Like Cooch. Cooch could be fine this week.
It's possible. And this construction is just so different, right? I know it's already no Scotty, but you have no sevens, no sixes, and then no guys up top with the Scotty Xander conversation. No Morikawa. I mean, so you got Morikawa, but no other 9K guys either. So just besides Morikawa. But I guess the other thing too is like Brooks Koepka. Feel pretty good if you're packing a Morikawa in with a Koepka because it's already Morikawa's in with that. And we joked about 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, whatever Scotty's number is. There is a guy that can cross the 5.5 this week, and it's Brooks Koepka. Yeah. So he can get a major here. I don't think he's worried at all if he's in the mix about a Scotty Scheffler. He bounced back last season after the mistakes that he made. He said it, mentally at the Masters, and then came back and won the next one out. So I could see him being in the mix. And then you pack in like Fleetwood and Fitzpatrick. We always say the F stands for fraud. Well, Fitzpatrick won a U.S. Open. That's fine. He's here again. He can do it. Fleetwood, he's always contending in them. Matsuyama, we're not afraid of. It's just, can SH Kim come through and get the job done at 5,900?
SH Kim has been actively bad as of late, so maybe it's not him. He was fourth with Byron Nelson. He missed the cut in Canada. The driving's been really bad after it seemed like he had it figured out a little bit. I always just wanted to play him on harder courses, although he's been more putting than anything rather than around the green. But again, if we think that around the green actually means a little bit less, then maybe that is the path that you want to take. Or it could be Kuchar.
I just say put in Kuchar. Like that to me was a fine argument.
Or just play Keimer.
I'm not doing that. But
I was thinking it made Keimer came out of the gates pretty hot in Live Houston. He's been pretty good the last two Live events.
Yeah.
Francesco Molinari.
I got no interest in these guys.
Do you have anyone down here?
I don't know if I'll actually play any.
Robert Rock, best hair in the game.
Who tried to tell me about somebody? There's somebody here I think that I have in a lineup. I'm trying to think of who it is, but there's not much love down in this range for me. I don't
know who this guy is, B. Robinson Thompson from England, but for whatever reason, he showed up on Bet365 in the made cut, miscut market. So someone requested him to be on, and they set odds for him to make and miss the cut. I was like, the hell is this guy doing here? And this guy seems like a creative player. Freddie Ketchup from Denmark, $5,200.
I thought you were going to say the other guy there, Frankie, what is it? Frankie Kappen?
No, that's him. Isn't it? Oh, no. Is there another guy?
I don't know.
Yeah, Frankie Kappen is a guy.
He is a guy. I don't see a lot of love down here at all. I guess your SH Kim one. Nick Dunlap, 5,800 was the guy I was going to mention earlier that someone was talking me into.
We should have done that last week after you were like, yeah, it's your guy. Because I mentioned the Jack course. He had won at the Jack course. Like, your guy, Nick Dunlap. I'm never playing Nick Dunlap. Really should have played Nick Dunlap.
Yeah, which can obviously translate to everything we always talk about at these events. Like the week Davis Riley won. Oh, he sucks, so he can't win. Goes out and wins.
So based on, you got your boy Mac Messier down here at $5,800.
His brother was in the mix last week for a bit in the Corn Ferry Tour event.
Really? He has a brother?
Yeah.
Is he like? Are they like the mirror version of the Cooties?
I think he's.
But there's an actual guy down here two of them actually. Brendan Todd is one of them at $6,000. He was top I think he was 21st or inside the top 20 at Pinehurst last time, but he kind of fits with what we're looking for here. Like, he's a very good wedge player. So for the par fives, he can still go attack. We know he's good around the greens, and we know he can make 15-foot putts. But under the impression that who is going to be higher priced next time around? At next year's U.S. Open, do you really envision Webb Simpson being any higher than 6,000 if he even qualifies for the U.S. Open? What about David Puig, who is supposed to be Ludwig and these guys? It's just he plays on live.
Yeah, that's the other guy I was going to talk about. Yeah, Puig was a guy there at 5,900. He could actually fit the build we just had.
He does fit the build we just had. So you swap out SH Kim and you put in David Puig.
Yeah, I was talking about Dunlap, but he had a good week last week. This was the guy. I think it was Baroff was trying to sell me on this guy.
He's good. Like, he's going to make the Olympic team. I think that Jorge Campillo edged him out with his finish at the Scandinavian Mix.
And look at that team: Brooks, Kawa, Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, Matsuyama, Puig. How will we ever get to the top without Sepp Straka and Bez?
Impossible. That's what I've heard. So this is the sort of lineup, and like, let's go off the Millionaire Maker for a sec and think about 3 max single entries, because that's really where I'm gonna focus primarily. I'll pay like $50 and the $5 for kicks, but I think this is the sort of lineup that I'm gonna enter in the 250 or the 400.
Yeah, I mean, like
can I get David Puig right? I guess is the question.
I'm just trying to look. If you get Puig right, I want to see one more thing, because where does this land? A 7.2. Who was the guy in the low 7s that you were on?
I didn't mind Day, but like, I'm not opposed to using Henley or Siwoo here.
Okay, you said you liked Siwoo, I think, a little bit more.
I do like Siwoo a little bit more. That is correct.
So here's an example where I think this is far enough off the board and still projects much better and still gets Scotty. Just to give an example off of the build we just had. Single entry, smaller fields, things like this, where you're not going way off the board, but it's not close to what we started at with the optimal. Scotty, Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick. So no Morikawa, none of those guys in between, and no Decky. So Scotty and 2 8Ks. You already have a little bit of roster construction leverage that way, even though those guys are in that sort of held in check range. You keep your guy Puig in the mix at 5,900 just to do anything for you. And then it allows you to play Thigala and Siwoo. It's just an example. I'm just giving it to you. But, I mean, this is now only 18 points off that original optimal, and it's quite different. It involves 1 6K guy, not 3. Puig do anything, and you still have other guys that we just had in the other lineup. Like, it's a 3v3 or something off that other 2v2 maybe. Like, it's very close.
Do you think that the combination of, it has a lot of the same guys. So I guess in the 3v3, Scheffler, Siwoo, and Thigala versus Brooks, Morikawa, and Hideki. I think I just feel better with and the thing is, if Scheffler wins, you feel like a fucking moron when you don't have him in there. Well, let's say he doesn't win. I like that other side way more.
Yeah. And it's projects almost 10 points less because of the Scotty factor.
Yep.
But that's the whole point. That's why I'm saying why that doesn't really matter. It's what you feel better about. And you're already, again, but you're playing Morikawa and Matsuyama chalk. You are. But you're not playing it with Scotty. You're not using Sepp. You're not using Bez. You're not using Henley. You're not using a lot of these other guys that we talked about. You have 2 8K guys. You have 3 8K guys in a lineup, more than most even have 1. Most have Hideki. You have no 6K guys. Most have 2 or 3. That's the example. But you still have Morikawa. But you have Brooks. You're fine. That lineup is fine.
If it was you, just your strategy on this. So you're playing, was it the 33-33?
Yeah.
Would you enter a lineup like this in it? Or do you think that having someone like David Puig is just outside of what you want to do?
Probably outside of what I want to do.
Okay.
I think it's going to be fine to still get to these types of constructions, but I think you should play, if you like a player like Puig, you should be fine with him in whatever tournament buy-in you're playing in. It's just, I also think you should be building for the tournament you're in and what you're up against, and I don't know if you need to go that far with it. Like, I think you could still just change up some of the constructions if you don't want to be on a Scotty lineup and get different that way. I could probably put more 7K guys in this and feel good about it, get a better projection, still have similar ownership, product, and overall, and then also be able to see a better path to like top 20s for these guys.
Well, I can take Fitz down to Hatton, because I have them rated about the same.
Sure.
And then I could take Puig up to Bez if I wanted to and just feel a little bit better about it.
Or you could play your guy Cam Davis, who you mentioned
You play
earlier.
Cam Davis.
What about Moronk?
That's one of Cuss 3 picks this week, Adrian Moronk.
6,300.
out of all the guys in that range, like I like Cam Davis enough. I like Yager. I like Hadwin. I like Mac Hughes. I like Bez. They're all kind of the same to me.
So,
how much is Tiger? I didn't even look at that.
64. 64. Okay. Bet Tiger to make the cut if you like him this week. 4 rounds.
It's not that I like Tiger this week. It's just everyone's just like, you got to bet Phil over Tiger. It's like they're both kind of shitty.
Yeah, and I was not just saying you, just in general, when people are doing it, like I know they just, but I just want to win $1 million with Tiger in my lineup, I've heard people say. It's like, that'd be cool, but, just try and win the $1 million with the guys you think are the roster constructions. So I think that I would just bet Woods to make the cut if you have interest.
I'm $100 short. I'll use Tom Kim instead. How about this one? Brooks, Morikawa, Fleetwood, Hideki, Siwoo, and Tom Kim.
Hideki, Siwoo, Tom Kim. This is chalky.
That'll be the very common Brooks, Morikawa start.
I guess it's not really that. It's more of... So let me frame it a different way. Brooks, Morikawa won't be a popular start. That's why we liked it for some of these other builds we did. It's that when you're putting these other pieces into it that are super popular, you're only a 2v2 away from whatever the other low-owned combo is of that type of version. So,
okay, well, let me...
Who was the other guy missing? Fleetwood? He was in it?
Yeah, let me flip this on you. How about instead of Siwoo and Tom Kim, it's Harris English and Jason Day.
There you go. By the way, I think English could be all right. Yeah,
I think he could be all right, too.
And
But every time I play Harris English, he opens with a 7 over round. Every time. I don't know if he's ever shot 7 over in his career, but that's just how it feels whenever you play Harris English.
10, 9, 8, 8, 7, 6 for the ranges you're using. Mm-hmm. Anything less than 2 6K guys or one that's super chalk is this. You're good. 7K guys that's not the most popular ones. Jason Day, that's fine. Decky's in it with Morikawa, but it's also got Koepka and Fleetwood with a different lower end and a different overall construction. This is 25 off the original. And again, Scotty's a big part of that. So yes, this is what I'm saying. These builds play for sure.
Superstar U.S. Open player, Sam Bennett.
Gosh.
Did he end up coming inside the top 10 last year? I can't remember. Was he the guy at the Masters? And it was Gordon Sargent who did really well.
No, Sam Bennett's your boy.
I know, but didn't he have it?
Everyone wanted Sargent at the Masters last year, and Sam Bennett was getting like sponsorships on the fly because he was up there with Ramen Brooks in a crazy start to the Masters.
He has made the cut at the U.S. Open the past 2 years. He's 2 for 2 in U.S. Open cuts.
Yeah, you should be playing this guy. He's your boy.
How much is Sam Bennett?
5,700.
It's not bad. What has he been doing? Let's find out. He's playing on Korn Ferry, and he was 7th 2 weeks ago, 15th 3 weeks ago. Not having a great year on the Korn Ferry Tour.
Where's the... Could we make a version of him just for fun with the Cam Young? Like, who's going to be more expensive in the future? Sam Bennett, superstar Sam Bennett, your guy.
Yeah.
Cam Young is just way too low for what we've seen all season. And, the Open you talked about, other majors, things, people love him. Who else is... who else would fit that mold here that you think down low?
Puig,
yep.
Scotty Scheffler should probably be 17,000.
That's definitely correct. Let's do that, Scotty. And now we have 9K left for 2 guys, right? Or 9 and 89 or something like that. I think it's like Wyndham JT, but we won't fill it up with that because they don't fit the mold. Who's the guy up top? You think it's...
It's probably Ludwig.
Yep.
Honestly.
Yeah, it is. And that lands you on Willie Z.
Willie Z, there's the team right there.
There's the one.
That's how you win. $100K to first and the $5. You want to win the $1 million? There's a millionaire. When you look at scroll up at the very top of the leaderboard, you're like, the fuck did anyone land on this? This is that sort of lineup.
It is funny though. People would say that, but we literally just talked through how you could land on that. It's you're looking at guys and saying, I want to play Scotty. I still think he's the best right now, and I think he could be 15K. Who are up and coming superstars to you for who you follow and what you're paying attention to? Sam Bennett and Puig, you could definitely see them being in the 6K range next year, and that's fine.
7,100.
Something. Let's just say that. And then, okay, Cam Young, Oberg, and Zalatoris, all just way too cheap for what we know their upside and capability. If Zalatoris wasn't injured along the way and whatnot, could be in the 9Ks. If Cam Young didn't shit the bed all the time and not win tournaments in the end of it, he could be in the 8Ks. And then Oberg could definitely be a 5-figure guy, will be a 5-figure guy, I think, as long as his knee is not too serious. which I think worries people as well, by the way. That's the other thing I was going to say earlier about keeping him in check is last week, even though he finished good, the conversation came up around his knee needing surgery, and he got a little bit, took a little bit of offense to that. So that's between me and my doctors. But then still went out and did just fine.
Don't violate his HIPAA rights, pal.
Exactly.
Can't do it.
So, yeah, that would be the argument there for how you get to something like this.
Head-to-head, me versus you. Did I win last week?
You did.
I think I did.
Yeah, I played the lineup that I used as my second lineup. That finished
Which came like last?
136th, not quite last. Still got $5K for it, so it was decent. But the big one is moving on. So, yeah, you are first up this week.
Morikawa for me.
All right. How do I want to do this, man? I'm going to take Scotty.
Yeah, figured. And I figured if I didn't take Morikawa, you could use Morikawa Scotty if you wanted to.
Yeah, how am I going to do this? Just one sec. I'll have it in a second. Scotty, I'm going to take Xander.
Okay, Scotty Xander?
Double star.
What does that leave you with left?
A lot of luck needed.
Okay.
But it leaves me with about 6,400 remaining per player.
Okay.
But I'm going to pack in the winning points and the
I got
position placement points.
I'll go Brooks and Hideki with my next two.
Okay. And I'm going to go... I can leave that guy to last because you're not going to play him. We didn't talk about him at all. So I'm going to go with... Let me just see if this works. I almost have to fill up my whole lineup for this.
That's what I did. I mean, you can if you wanted to see the lineup that I have on the go, it's on the screen. Just don't look at the screen.
Let me just see here if I go.
I'm leaving $900 on the table. Maybe I shouldn't do that.
And then I just got to see what price he's at. So I got to pick two guys here, and I'm going to take... Damn. I might have to do it just because. This sucks, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try it out. We're going to take Noren and Horschel.
Okay. And I'll take Cam Smith and Siwoo Kim.
And I will take... I have to take Nick Dunlap because the other guy I'm taking is the one that's got me through both rounds of the Fantasy Golf World Championship.
Sam
Sticking with
Bennett?
my Canadian guy, Taylor Pendrith. Just battling out there. If you saw that even par round he shot when it was just extremely tough out there, people shooting 6-7 over, he grinded through for me again. And he was on both the teams that got into the second round. So Taylor Pendrith, Nick Dunlap are my last two.
I'll take Russell Henley as my last player and leave 200 on the board. I have not forgiven Taylor Pendrith since he laid up to the coward's fairway at the PGA Championship and didn't make the cut by one.
He did that to me last week, and I thought it was going to cost me on things as well. When he laid up, he had out of commission, out of contention, 251 in or something, 240 in. It was like, dude, just go for it. You have nothing to lose.
Was he in the fairway or the rough?
In the fairway. Every time you looked at him, he was from 250 out in the fairway, and half the time he was laying up. I have no idea what their strategy was, but hopefully it's different this week. So I have Scotty Xander. I went for the double stud up top. I've got Noren, Horschel, Pendrith, Dunlap. I see what my score is. We'll talk about the projection thing again. Who do you have?
Brooks and Colin.
Colin. He's got a first name.
Colin.
Here.
Double L Colin. 2L Colin.
All right.
Cam Smith and Hideki.
This team is so good.
Henley and Siwoo.
Henley and Siwoo.
I feel like this is a good single entry lineup. Like you said, it's probably very chalky, and you're probably bad. But without Scotty, I do think it's different enough. If you think that Scotty gets up to 50, 60, 70% in these higher stakes, maybe let's say 55, 60, that just a Brooks-Colin combo.
If he gets to 40 to 55 range, just put a bigger range on him, then yeah, I mean, Brooks has to be lower, obviously, already, and so that all falls into the mix as well. You left 200 on the table?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the closest we've ever been, about 1.24 off in my favor, but Scotty points are packing a punch here.
Yes.
So that's why.
But
yeah,
you also have a bunch of absolute scrubs in your lineup.
Are they?
Nick Dunlap, yes. At this point in time. He also could have been on that
He's
team.
better than Russell Henley if you watched last week, Pat.
That's true.
So he's already better
I
than
am
him.
only taking in what I saw last week, and you are correct. He's better than
And
Russell
I think
Henley.
Noren's better than Siwoo.
In what world is that true?
Last week, I'm saying.
Oh, yes, last week. No, Siwoo came 5th, didn't he?
Maybe I'm wrong on that one. Someone's better than someone, but Cam Smith, Brooks, couple live donkeys. I mean, chalk.
Siwoo was 15th last week.
And what was Noren?
I don't even know if he got into that tournament, did he?
He did.
Oh, did he?
He definitely, there was flop leg on him because nobody played.
He was
that.
T22.
So it was close. So
And
he's almost the same.
And he scored 57 DraftKings points, whereas Siwoo scored 57. They were the same in terms of DraftKings points.
And then you got 2 chalk donkeys, Colin Morikawa and Matsuyama, and 2 live donkeys, Brooks Koepka and Cam Smith. So how could your lineup ever do good?
It's true.
That's the thing. So
Round of the day on Sunday was not Scotty Scheffler or Colin Morikawa. It was 7 under Brooks Koepka in Live Houston.
the best was, do you know how they post their stats still with like the sheet? And
Yeah.
it's like fairways hit, greens hit. It's like literally built for Underdog. It's a perfect combination, marrying those two together because it's set up for that. But if you look at it, it was what people were going off of. I even saw my guy Kenny Kim. Shout out to my boy Kenny. He was like, did you notice Brooks did this for fairways and greens? True. Technically all true, but it's just funny. They're still living in like back in the day, like hand and paper basically, and someone just data entries it over there for them.
They sneakily have way more data than you would think.
I bet they do.
It's not released to the public.
And that'll be part of the moving forward plan, I would assume, is when they get after that, it's going to make sense.
I would think so. So there's our head-to-head. See if I can pick up another win here. Can't believe you might give away 50 grand. I guess you're not going to be upset about giving away 50 grand if you win $1 million.
950,000 goes a long way.
American too. So that's like 1.2.
Something.
You would, if you kept the 950 for yourself, it's tax-free. You would exchange it. I think you would end up with like 1.31 million in Canadian dollars.
And we'll do more than that. I mean, I'll do other giveaways, donations, things like
Are
that.
you
Like,
not
I always
just
do
gonna
that
quit?
stuff, but no, definitely not.
Retire off into the sunset?
Definitely not.
Buy
No.
$1 million car?
Not even. I drive a Toyota Camry.
I saw.
You know,
just like
so
Cust.
Dad car, man, it's perfect. I don't care about that. So, like, I just family, friends, personal experiences. I like to have a nice house which I just moved into because I'm at home all the time. I want to record content. I want to be talking to people. I want to be doing stuff. So I'd like to have a nice house. But other than that, most of the stuff that I do is going to be about experiences. And I think that's the best part of it is we'll change some people's lives. 5 grand to 5 people would be amazing. And then with that other 25 grand, like someone that, maybe somebody and a guest, and we cover it for them to come to the President's Cup. Like that other $25,000 pool is going to be given away, and it's going to be awesome, but it would be for a lot of fun experiences, and we could make some content, have some fun with it so people could see the money and how it was spent, and I plan to continue to do this stuff. Like, I just think it's a way better way to live life and do things, and I'll be A-okay with 950 grand behind in my bank account.
I would hope so.
So,
Hope you don't go like full Mike Tyson and blow it all.
it's
On
impossible.
Tigers and blow.
I don't spend it like that, so it's good.
The 3 picks that we came up with for Underdog, to recap, Bryson lower, 10 greens in regulation, round 1. Jason Day lower, 9.5 greens in regulation, round 1. Cameron Smith higher, 8.5 fairways in round 1, just based on, you can rewind if you skip that part of why we got to that. It pays 6.01 to 1. So plus 600 is what we're looking at. On that front, so 180 pays $187 or $1,087.20 on Underdog Fantasy. If you use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now, you can get a deposit bonus of up to $250, and you get ballots into that draw for some of Tambo's 50K potentially. What's the minimum?
It's already at 1,000. We got in.
it's already-
it qualified. So the minimum winning.
It's
The minimum winnings is $20,000, which is $1,000 giveaway, which we've already said is going to be 5 $200 giveaways. 3 of them will be to Ship It Nation members. 2 of them will be to Mayo Media Network followers, as well as doing all the stuff to get into the draws. You have the ballot set up that you always draw out of, so they know what to do. My stuff is easy. You literally just go on X, Twitter, whatever you want, at Toe Tag and Tambo. It's right there. You have to repost the tidbits, and that's the easiest thing. It's free to do. I don't quite understand it. Sometimes this is how it works. Like when I was giving away $500 that time for every 100 reposts, I'll
You
give away
have
$100.
5,000 reposts.
I had 425 reposts. When you're giving away almost up to 50,000, sometimes people just don't follow it enough or recognize it. It's very easy. Pause this when you get off. Go to it. Whatever. You follow me. You follow Ship It Nation. You go to our YouTube channel. Subscribe. Leave a comment with hashtag Ship It. It's going to be a little bit extra work because it's up to $50,000. But it helps grow the brand. It helps promote anything that I'm doing. And 90% of what I do is for free and to help people out that can't afford to join a site or use code Mayo over at Ship It Nation, get 10% off, whatever they might want to do. So to me, that's the secondary piece of it. It's do all the free stuff. It's easy.
Once again, do the free stuff to get in. If you do have a little bit of cash, let's say you have $10, go to Underdog Fantasy, use code Mayo, deposit your $10, and boom, you get 40 ballots into that draw. You want to do the free way of doing it? Sub to the newsletter. That's always free. That's down in the description. That'll get you ballots. And then 10 apiece for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. 5 stars. Pat Mayo Experience Audio Podcast on Apple and Spotify. Do both and do the draw and then do the newsletter, and you have like 65 ballots into a draw for winning technically up to $5,000, or maybe being part of the 25K experience.
Yeah, lots of money to be won out there, but that's the whole point. It's all in good fun.
The 25K experience should be you give Kenny 25K and Kenny brings whoever it is to Vegas with him for 7 days.
Weekend at Kenny's, weekend with Kenny,
weekends
and we
with
get
Kenny.
the thing pairing them up. So our guy Padded Rooms is going to have that one built out now to the next Kenny one, but it should be fun. Like I said, whatever happens, but there's already a guaranteed 1,000 there. You're giving away a guaranteed 500, so $1,500 in guaranteed giveaways. By the way, this event is 2 weeks from now. So there's the U.S. Open. Let's win some money here first. We've got Travelers next week. Is it a signature event? Then we've got the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit, where I'll be. And by the way, shout out to my guy, Degenerate75. He's coming down, my +1 to the event.
Amazing.
So if you guys are going to be there, you want to be there and have some fun, it's going to be a great event. I'm getting in Thursday. We'll be leaving on Monday, but we'll be down at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. My guy Hoop is in as well. There's just going to be a lot of people. A bunch of members have already hit us up and said they're coming down. So should be a good time down there in Michigan.
I like it. At Toteg and Tambo on xshipitnation.com/Mayo or code Mayo to get yourself a discount. Ditto for fantasynational.com/Mayo. Get you 20% off any of the membership levels. And just if you want to enter a bunch of lineups or just make a bunch of bets, especially for like 3 balls and things like that, fantasynational.com is where you're going to want to be /Mayo. Get you that discount. All right. Smash the like while you're here. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll be live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time this evening on Mayo Media Network. If you have any questions or if you just want to be yelled at, I can do that too. You're some sort of weird masochist, I can make that happen for you. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience. Experience.